Hello. Hello, my friends. Hello, loves. Like one of those days, things are just not working correctly in this technology world today. But welcome to another episode of the Rustic Spirit podcast. I'm very excited to have you guys here with us tonight. I'm very excited about our guest. He is definitely one of my very close friends, very near and dear to my heart. But first, I just wanted to kind of give us a little intro. I'm sorry, my words tonight just don't want to come out. So I wanted to say that t-shirts and hoodies for the podcast and for the store are now available on my Etsy shop, but you can also reach out to me in general. We have long sleeve t-shirts, we have short sleeve t-shirts, and we have hoodies. And they all say "Be the light in someone's darkness" in the back. And when someone's standing behind you, they're going to be able to see that. And my goal in life is to spread that light in someone's dark world. And then tonight we have Russ. He is the podcast host of Compass of Curiosties, as well as co-host of Unturned Pages. He is going to be with us tonight. And then here is where you can find the Unturned Pages and the Compass of Curiosities podcast. They are pretty much everywhere. And I think I watched their episode last night. There's some little issue there with iTunes. I'm not sure what's going on if they fixed that, but you can find them. They're on Facebook Live. Sunday nights is Unturned Pages, and Monday nights is Compass of Curiosity on Facebook. And then you can find them pretty much anywhere else you can find a podcast. iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Spotify, all of those. So without further ado, let me just bring him on and see who else is in here with us. I'm not even seeing the comments for some reason. There we go. So we have Sabrina Marie. Hello. How are you tonight?
Hello. I
need to get off the comments because I have someone doing comments for me and I'm not used to it.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to worry about it.
I can just sit back. This is very weird for me. I have
all you have to do is talk.
I know. Jenny from Unturned Pages is doing comments for us tonight. Thank you, Jenny, so much for helping us out. Even though I know you have a little pain and sickness going on, so I hope you feel better. So yes, Jason, you're here with us. You caught the live stream on time. I know you texted me earlier and Jason was like, "Are you guys going live? Are you guys going live tonight?" Hi, Susan. How are you?
Oh, Susan. I love Susan.
Dale. Hello, Dale. And then we have Courtney Peterson.
Courtney's part of the Get Haunted Network, and she does some amazing work over there for us, always on the shows, promoting both of our shows.
Awesome.
So, Courtney, thank you for popping in. I know you're on vacation right now. What are you doing?
Oh, and look, Megan is here too.
Megan.
Yes, how are you feeling like in your brand new place? I'm so excited.
I know, right?
Yes, I heard you last night. You called her out and was talking about
Sabrina?
How's the hair?
And
he has a lot actually on his face. You just can't see because it's very light. There you go. There it is. Growing out. Damien, that was your guest last night, wasn't it, Russ?
Yes, it was. Yes, he was.
Good morning, Damien. It's what, like 2 a.m., 2:30?
Yeah, roughly about like 2:30 over there right now. Icy's in the room right now.
All right. Hello. I think I see, Megan. It's a big adjustment. Fire alarms going off the first night didn't help. Oh, wow. Didn't we say something about fire alarms didn't we say something about that, Megan, when we had our reading? I'm not sure. Mondo Docs is here. Hello, Lawrence from Mondo Docs.
Lawrence.
He's been on this show, and I'm going to have him back on, hopefully. Lawrence, please send me a message. We're going to get you back on.
I know. I need to get him scheduled to have him on mine. Oh, we got Michael Myers in the room now tonight.
I know. This is very weird because we have two podcast hosts. So we got Russ and I. Now he gets to be I
can't help it.
You can't help it. I know. I'm the same way when I'm on there. Kevin.
It's weird being on the other side of things.
I know. And that's like, I wanted to ask you, like, I know we're going to talk about some serious stuff later, but as a podcast host, like, I feel I've watched a lot of different podcasts, and I feel like what we're doing right now, and we're including this audience, is so very important, because I know when I'm watching, I love being called out. I love my name
Oh
being
yeah.
called out, and that makes me want to come back and watch again. So,
I always try to, like, when I'm doing my show, I always try to, like, both shows. I know Jenny does a really good job with, putting the comments up and everything like that. And, if I'm in the middle of a question, I always like try to kind of keep that in the back of my mind and, like, say hi to everybody that comes in, that pops in, makes a comment, anything like that. But Jenny does a great job with, like, starring comments of, like, questions and things like that. So got to give a
she
big
does.
shout out
She's
to
even got
Jenny.
a banner at the bottom for me of
I
my
know
website for my t-shirts.
she's doing great.
You're
So,
amazing.
Kyle
Amazing, Jenny.
Magnus from White Hill Manor.
Yes, Kyle Magnus. I need to get out there. I need to get to White Hill Manor. It's not far from me.
I'm
I
4
don't
hours.
know.
I'm 4 hours away. I've already talked to Kyle, and I've already talked to for the life of me cannot remember her name, but yeah, I've already talked to them. I talked to them in Gettysburg, and I was like, yeah, I definitely need to make it down.
Do you guys have anything set up and running during the shows and monitor any activity generated from other viewers? I'm not sure what you're asking there. Like other viewing spots?
Damien always asks the good questions.
I know. He wants to stump us.
He does.
So love White Hill. Dana,
Dana,
you've been to White Hill. Mm-hmm.
Dana from Dana's Pink Wishes. Love her to death.
So after last night, I just got to call this out real quick. So after last night, and we were talking about the fairies on your show. I asked about the fairies and the dryads. She sent me the video of her fairy garden.
She sent it to me too.
Oh my God. Wasn't it the most beautiful thing ever?
It is.
I'm like,
it honestly is.
Just the energy in that garden. It was so pretty. And I'm like, how do you keep it where it doesn't like get all messed up by the rain and the storms and stuff? It's so pretty.
Oh God, like we got Shauna and Brooke in here. They were at your wedding, and they're seeing me without a beard and everything now, and no Pennywise mask, and
I know. I thought for sure you were going to come on with the Pennywise mask. You have the hat.
I thought about it, but I decided just to go with the hat instead of the full on. So
I was thinking, so for those of you who do not know and have not seen the pictures that I keep posting everywhere, Russ was our officiant of our wedding and in Gettysburg at the Battlefield Bash at the what's
Sox Bridge.
Sachs Bridge, and he did an amazing job, and I'm so grateful that he was able to do that for us. So.
And it was an honor for you guys to ask me. So, I mean, that really meant a lot to me. So, and the people I met from just through your wedding, like, have now become lifelong friends. I mean, Kevin gave me a lap dance dressed as Michael Myers. I mean, come on.
I know. For some reason, that keeps coming up on my Facebook page, and I don't know why. Like, I'm like, it's like July 26th, and it's still like showing
still
up
popping
on my Facebook page. It's still popping up. They're very popular. There's wonderful lap dances.
Given and received.
Yes. So I have a question about being a podcast host. What called you to be a podcast host? Why did you want to do this?
So this actually goes back a little bit. I found out later in my life, after my grandmother passed away, that she was actually during the 50s and the 60s. She was actually a local AM radio host. And radio has always been like kind of a thing for me because I always say I have the voice for radio, just not the face. So
you do have the voice.
So I have the voice for it. So it was one of those things that kind of just fell in naturally. I love talking to people. I do have anxiety. I am on the spectrum. But I just love talking to people. That's why I've worked retail so many years of my life, because I just love that interaction. Mm-hmm. So for me, being able to do that is something that is like absolutely amazing to me. So it kind of falls back to I don't want to say the lineage, but it also falls back to like, I was always close to that grandmother. So like, she never told me about it, but after she passed away, I found out about it, like going through her things and everything. And my dad told me, he's like, oh yeah, she was, she did this in her early years because her husband, my grandfather, was actually a World War II aerial photographer.
Oh, man. Oh, that is so cool.
So I actually have a book that has like a lot of the aerial photography that he took when he was in World War II. So that I kind of linked that to my love for photography as well as my love for podcasting and radio and things like that. So I guess it's all in the bloodline.
Yeah, it is. I know that I feel you there, because I'm like, my grandfather was Irish, and he worked for the newspaper. So I went into journalism. Actually, I don't know a lot of people know that was my first degree, was journalism and mass communications, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a journalist. And yep. I had a professor tell me in my second year that you're not cut out for this. Because at that time, this was in the, I guess, early 2000s, and they were like, you had to like do what they wanted and say what they wanted. And I was like, I'm very big on freedom of speech and speaking out and telling the truth and not lying. Oh, yeah. So I think that's where it came from. So I did quit that and went into retail and got my business degree.
See, I actually, I studied, school's not always been for me. I mean, I was like, I graduated with a class. Like, I come from a very small town in Ohio called Middle Ridge, Ohio. And my graduating class was literally 63 people. And I was in the higher quarter of my class. So I was part of National Honor Society. I was part of Quill and Scroll, which is a writing group out of high school. I was part of the literary magazine, the newspaper, things like that. So I've always enjoyed writing. Yeah. But like, I tried college out, and I went in originally for communications, and I was kind of like, I've already gone through 18 years of school. I don't want to do it anymore. So I kind of fell off that. And then a couple of years later, I went back to do business administration, business management. And again, I was kind of like, well, what you're teaching me is I already know, because I've already been in retail management for so many years. So I'm like, I don't need to go into debt when I could be making a paycheck.
Your story sounds so similar to mine. Yeah.
And still getting the same amount of experience and everything else. So like, I just was just like, all right, school's not for me. And anybody out there, if you want to go to school, get that degree, I'm fully behind you. I think it's one of the best things you can do in life besides for the debt. But other than that, if it's a passion, follow it.
Jason says, I wonder if we'd have shaved his eyebrows, how much they would have grown from then till now.
Probably quite a bit, honestly. If you see my beard, like I can
you probably have them fully back by now.
I can pull my beard already. This is just 2 weeks. So I'd probably have them back. But my hair is so light that like it just, I wouldn't have looked right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was wonderful. For those of you who do not know, and we're not there, which I think most of the people in the comments
of the people were there.
Russ, I should have put a picture in my slideshow of that. Russ and Wes Coleman.
Give Jenny 10 seconds. She'll find a picture and toss it.
Jenny, find a picture. So
the before and after.
Russ and Wes Coleman had this genius idea to raise funds for Shaylee. Is that is? I'm saying that
Shaylee,
correctly, right?
Yes, Shaylee.
Yes. Who is a kid that has. So I'm sorry.
I believe it's bone cancer, but
bone cancer, correct?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, train just
actually, fast. Yeah. Kimberly Ann just commented. Jenny's probably looking for the picture now. She did shave one of the heads. I forget whose head you shaved.
Wes. Because my friend Ian is the one that shaved my head.
That's right. Ian shaved yours. And they came up with this crazy idea that they were going to shave their heads to raise funds. And they did. You guys raised. I know I waxed the legs.
Yes, you did.
But then Ian came up with the crazy idea that you're going to wax legs the podcast that you had right before the bash.
Yep. The week before. Yep.
So you guys raised how much? What was the grand total? I want to
We
say
almost,
it was like
I
2,500.
think, no, it was almost 5,000.
Almost 5,000. That is so amazing. That is so amazing.
Between the people that donated from the podcast that I did on Monday prior to the bash, as well as the bartending event that we did, the celebrity bartending event that we did, as well as us collecting cash during the actual shaving event, which was quite a bit of money. I think we came in like just under 4,800 or something like that.
That's awesome.
So
it's
I mean,
so amazing. What called you to do that?
Little kids have a very soft spot in my heart. Like there is no, like, I'm a parent of 2 daughters. So I would, and I actually had this conversation with somebody, and I would say that I would want people to do the same thing that I did if it was one of my kids. And I'm a very selfless person, and I was just like, I had no issue. Wes approached me with the idea of it, and I was like, all right, let's go. Like, I had no hesitation, no doubt, nothing at all. I just jumped right into it and just jumped right in. And, like I said, there we go. There's a before and after.
There it is. There is the before and after.
I will say, though, the new hotel, the Eisenhower and the Aspire, the picture on the left that you're seeing, I will say the outlets in the hotel do work. That's how I got that hairstyle. I had to test them. So, but then we have the before and after of Wes and I, and
and you had t-shirts and everything. Yeah,
we had t-shirts. I was wearing the tutu.
It was amazing. That was an amazing night.
But never a doubt in my mind, never a hesitation. I jumped right on it. It was one of those things where it was completely worth it. And personally, not that I was trying to kind of like cheat the system a little bit, but I know how quick my hair grows back. So I was just like, yeah.
I wonder, Wes, I don't know if Weston's in here tonight. I haven't seen him yet. He usually pops in at some point, but I wonder what his hair looks like. Right?
I just saw a picture. He was actually just at Mid-Orange Correctional with Christina Westerveld and Lawrence and a couple other people. And I saw a picture of him, and his isn't growing as fast as mine is.
Yeah, your hair has grown very fast. Very fast.
I told people, I was like,
old age on his
it was one of those things. Like, I wore the tutu for your wedding when I officiated, which I'm looking back at the picture and I'm just like,
oh yeah, the tutu and the wedding. That's funny, Jenny. If you can find that would be great.
Like, I'm standing there looking like a sore thumb. You guys both look great. I'm just standing there in a pink tutu, like,
You looked great too. You did. That wasn't your idea. Wait, I think I seen him in here somewhere.
That was Kevin's.
Whose idea? No, it was Jonathan.
Jonathan's.
John's.
Yeah.
I think I seen him in here at some point.
It was John's, because he said he messaged me. And after you started the group.
Because we were talking about what we're all gonna wear.
Yeah. And he's like, he messaged me separately on the side and was like, he was like, hey, I'm ordering a 2-pack of tutus. Will you wear one? And I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, if you order it, I'll wear it. And he's like, oh, you think so? And I was like, you give it to me, I'll wear it. And the minute he handed it to me, I put it right on. So I was like, you think I'm kidding?
I know, because I was fashionably late to my own wedding when I got
there. Yeah, and Gary, Gary had a little bet going on there with you two.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. We forgot about that.
Oh, thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah,
I forgot.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. There we go.
Russ in the pink tutu, Mary and Gary and I.
You know what? I would say it's one of my prouder moments, but also not a prouder moment. But
well, I think it's so funny. Like the picture, like I wanted a shot of like Pennywise taking me into the woods and Gary's saying, no, stop me. He's back there laughing.
Yeah, Gary's back there like, whatever, take her.
You know,
Do
you
me
can
the
tell who
favor.
the actress is here. Like, I'm like, look at my face. You can see, like, you know, I'm into the role.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, hey, everything was done with him. He just wanted to go back and start drinking. Which I don't blame him.
That was wonderful. The cake was. Did you have any of that cake?
Yeah.
I did not. I'm not a sweets person, so I did not. But my wife did have a piece, and she said it was absolutely fantastic.
That was amazing. The cake looked beautiful. Bailey, I don't know if you're in here, but Bailey made the cake,
fantastic,
and it was fantastic. But it also looked. You can't find a baker that can make the cake look good and the cake taste good at the same time.
Yeah. No,
So.
it's either you either get one or two. Like it's you decide whether it looks good or it tastes good. You can't have both. But that one, from what I've heard, has been astounding.
It was. So you definitely support a lot of people, and I've seen you know, I asked you the question about how you do this, why you do this podcast, and you said you just like talking to people, and I think it's you like to help. You know, you are a helper. You're one of those helpers in this world that, you know, are rare to find. And I've watched your podcast. I do feel like you spread joy. You do spread a lot of help to people. Where does that come from? Like, why do you like to help so much?
Honestly, there's Bailey in here now.
There's Bailey. That's the cake maker. Bailey, if anybody needs a cake, you need to go to her. It's
the cake lady.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, me helping is, you know, I grew up with a very rough life. Like I honestly did. And
that's where I was getting at. I was trying to get to
that. I grew up from the start. Like it was a very, very, like, you know, I've always been blessed to be able to have, you know, when I was growing up as a kid, with a roof over my head, regardless if we had difficulties or not. But it's always been one of those traits in me that was instilled in me by my grandmother and the people around me of, you know, if, you know, I don't want to say the whole cliche, if you see something, say something kind of thing. But, you know, if somebody asks for help, you help. You know, I'll be the kind of person to give my shirt off the back to somebody. And I actually have before, whether it be a person. I was out in California doing an event and we saw a baby bat that was in the middle of the road. And I immediately ran out, picked up the bat, took it to the woods, hung it on a tree. And, you know, it's just been, whether it be animals, people, anything like that. I've always been that kind of person. Because I know how difficult life can be. And I know how difficult things can get. And when you ask for help, there's not always those people there that want to help. And, you know, I've learned that through my life. And I also believe in karmic law, like what you put out, you'll get back threefold. And
exactly. Yes.
And, you know, so I don't care if I'm down to my last dollar, I'll give it to somebody. I'll go without eating for a day if I know I'm taking care of somebody else. And I've done it. I've actually done it.
Yeah. I remember right before the bash, and you had texted me or you had messaged me and you said, I did something I haven't done in a really long time.
Yep.
And I was like, what is that? You said, I bought a pair of jeans for myself. And I'm like, okay, like I buy clothes all the time because that's my passion. I have a whole room of clothes, but because I was in fashion retail. But
fair enough.
You know, I remember hearing that, like you were like, I take care of everybody else. And that was something, the conversation we had during that text or that message was that you take care of me. You make sure everybody's taken care of first.
And you know what? I have no issue with doing that, you know, and I don't look at it as a, how do I say this? A slight to me, I guess you could say, if no one helps me, because I know I'm helping other people and that's what makes me feel good, you know? And like I said, I will give you my last dollar. If I have to get gas, I'll figure it out. You know, I can always figure something out, you know, and it's one of those things that just translates into everyday life of, you know, like Damien just said, in a world of darkness, all it takes is one light to shine.
And then that's what, like my shirts, the back of my shirts is what it says, you know?
So
be the light in someone's darkness. Yes.
Exactly. Because you know what? It's always darkest before the dawn. You
It
know,
is.
and it's one of those things where good times and good things will always happen. But
So who
you just
lights
have to
your
be
light?
patient. My wife,
She is. Your wife is
my
amazing.
kids,
Good answer. Good answer.
my kids. She's not even listening. She's already in bed. But my kids, even though I'll get to that whole story. And
Yeah.
anybody listening, you will hear a lot about me, and I am very much an open book, and I'm not above sharing my struggles and my downfalls that I've gone through in life, because I believe every downfall you've gone through is what builds you to the person you are today.
Absolutely.
So I believe that, it's one of those things where, like I said, the karmic law, you help, it's going to come back to you.
It does. It does, but not always when you want it to. And I know you and I've had that conversation before. You're like, because we both are healers, we're helpers. And then we're like, why am I not getting anything? And I know you've had some challenges lately, and um,
I'm sorry that Damien's comment in the chat room was kind of like made me tear up a little bit.
Okay. Exactly. Damien, I love you. Only just met you on the podcast last night. I think you're amazing. You have such good energy, like that. And that's exactly what it is. Like, I have people, and I'm not going to call any names, but you know who you are. I always say good morning, and they just say morning. And I'm like, why not make it a good one? Like, I always say good morning, even if I'm not feeling it, because if I can bring that light and that positive thinking into something, that
You know
helps.
what? To start a fire, all it needs is a spark.
All it needs is a spark. Yes. And Russ, you are a spark. I don't know if you believe that all the time.
I'm a redhead. I got spark in me all day long.
You are. People like right now we have 20 some watchers just on Facebook alone. So I these people are here not just they're here to see you. Like, you really are this light in people's darkness. And I think that you don't always believe that.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing with me is I don't always see myself as that, because I always want the light to be shined on somebody else. I mean, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for everybody else. Like I say at every end of the podcast I do, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the people that come and listen. I wouldn't be able to bring the great guests that I have and provide quality content and, the stories that these people tell without everybody that keeps coming in. So, I
Exactly.
mean, as a podcaster, if you're watching numbers, I'm telling you right now, don't watch numbers, because I can guarantee you, if you get so number based, you're going to sit there and stare at your top left corner, and you're going to be like, oh, only 3 people are watching. And it's going to get into your head, and it's going to just bring you down. And you can't do that, because guess what? Just because we're on at 9:00 at night tonight doesn't mean someone's not going to listen to it tomorrow.
Exactly.
So
I try to tell myself that. I get like that. And like when there's only a couple people and I'm like,
I do as well to myself, but also in the same aspect, I got to think of it like, okay, like with my show and also Unturned Pages with Jenny, we stream to like 7 different areas. So the numbers we're seeing from just StreamYard are not the numbers we're getting from Facebook, from YouTube, from anything like that. So we can't account for that. So it's something that you can't account for until it's done.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is you're putting yourself into a hole that you can't dig out of if you're focused on numbers all the time. And I learned that from experience, because I used to be very number oriented and was like, okay, well, I only have this many people watching it. I'm not going to make a difference. And then that's when you see the interview start to decline.
Yeah, because you start to get down, because it's that energy you feed off of. Yes.
Exactly.
Like, more comments, the more numbers you feed off of it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm running on the adrenaline, yeah.
Well, like I said, I told you, like, my store's been open for 11 days now. I've been at the store for 10 out of the 11 days that it's been open. And tomorrow, fingers crossed, I have a day off, hopefully.
You do. You're going to have
Hopefully.
one. You're going to put your foot down and you're going to set a
Oh
boundary. And you're going
no,
to have
I've already told my boss and my assistants. I was like, if you need to contact me for anything about the store. That's fine. But I am not coming in. I'm not coming anywhere near the store tomorrow. I am literally going to take a day to myself, and I don't care if I just sleep all day. I don't care what I do, but it's going to be a me day.
Yeah. So I want to get into the why, like why you do this. We talked earlier. I think people need to know your story. I think people need to know like where you came from and how you got here.
Okay. Well, so I grew up with two other siblings, my older sister, my younger brother. My mother, I mean, and I'll put out some dirt there, and I really don't care because everybody can know everything about me. It doesn't make a difference to me. My mother has been married 5 times, twice to the same person, who is my dad. But 3 separate kids with 3 different people. We lived in a town called Warren, Ohio, which, if people know anything, is right outside Youngstown, which is one of the bigger cities in Ohio. We grew up not knowing where the next meal was coming from, counting change to get a roll of toilet paper. Times to where we got our water shut off and we had to connect a hose to our neighbor's water and
I've
do
been
that,
there.
or
run the electric cord.
Yep, run
just
the
to run
electric
the
cord to the house.
refrigerator.
Yep,
I grew up like that too.
I've been there, done that. But that's the one thing my mom always did, was always made sure that we were taken care of. She would
welfare
work 2,
cheese
3
was
jobs.
the best cheese.
Oh God, I don't care what you say. Welfare cheese was the amazing cheese.
I wish you could. I want some welfare cheese.
Velveeta.
Like, and then the
it
peanut
was
butter,
like Velveeta,
the white label around it.
Yep,
like,
yep. You've never struggled until you ate a can of peaches that was just a silver can that had peaches written on it.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Like, you and I can relate a lot in that. Like, it's,
but my mother always kind of pushed me to kind of follow what I wanted to do. And growing up, I went through peaches, of course. I didn't even think about that. I honestly didn't even think about that.
She was on it.
Kim was on it. But it was one of those things that it wasn't the struggles growing up that I focused on. It was the achievements that I made growing up. Because my brother and my sister were absolutely terrible in school. Like, my sister didn't even know she was graduating until she walked across the stage and opened her diploma and there was one in there. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then next year, the 2 years later, when I graduated, I knew what was happening. Like, I knew I was graduating. I'm the middle child.
Okay.
I graduated almost top of my class. I did all the extracurriculars. I played football. I played baseball. And like I said earlier, I decided to, I tried out college right out of high school, and it just wasn't for me. And my parents and I got into a huge fight one day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show them. So I went right down to a recruiter's office.
Damien is the one he sees the hat, he knows, because I want to ask that question too, who you relate to in that, because when I watched it, I related to someone. So go ahead. Yeah. Anyway, you finish what you were talking about, unless you want to answer that question now.
No, I'll get right back to that, because this is kind of a short story. But I thought I was going to piss off my parents, and I went right down to a recruiter. And I walked into the Air Force recruiter, and I was like, I don't care where you send me. I don't care when I go out. I don't care what my job is. Just sign me up.
I did it too. I did the same thing.
And I went back home with my paperwork, and I walked right up to the dinner table, and I slammed the paperwork down on the table. And I was like, I'm joining the military. What are you going to say about that? And both my parents looked at me and were like, well, we're proud of you. And I was like, mother. I'm like, this was my up yours. And then they're like, and then I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, my mom's an ex-Air Force veteran. So I'm like, should have thought this through better. Should have went and got something pierced or something. But as far as my favorite horror movie, actually, it's it did not inspire me to enjoy horror. I want to say, honestly, there have been so many because I grew up on the classic horror movies. I was 6 years old when I watched The Exorcist because my parents were very big into the whole horror realm and things like that.
My
So,
stepfather. Yeah.
I mean, I've watched so many over the years, but I have to say, what really inspired me was actually House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Like some of my favorite movies were House on Haunted Hill, Pit and the Pendulum, those old school. I mean, Boris Karloff, Vincent Price, Bela Lugosi. Like those are like my icons.
We
and being 40
rewatched
years
the original
old.
Halloween recently.
Oh God, yeah.
I was so bored.
It's so boring.
But you have to realize, like,
but I appreciate it. But
those movies back then weren't made to be like the special effects that we have now. You know,
and I will. The acting was so horrible too.
Oh God, oh yeah. It's like you look back and you watch them again, and you're like, holy, what the, like we just watched. My wife's on a thing now of for our honeymoon. She actually got me a tour, the Stephen King tour up in Bangor, Maine. And we had a private tour. It was just us and the tour guide. Took us all around Maine, showed us places like Stephen King film movies, where he wrote, where he lived, everything. And I fell in love with it. She had never once read a Stephen King book prior to doing this. Coming back from that tour, she went out and bought like 8 Stephen King books. And she's been reading through them. And every time she finishes a book, we have to go back and watch the movie. So watching some of these movies that were released in the early to mid 80s, like Carrie and, things like that.
Cujo.
So we haven't watched it. She hasn't read that one yet. She hasn't seen it. But
that was like the fakest dog ever. Pet Sematary is my favorite. But
Pet Sematary, we watched that one. We just watched, I had her watch Misery, which hands down, Kathy Bates was hands down amazing.
The best.
The Shining with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Even though that was
Jeff, if you're not here, no, you cannot get Jack Nicholson. You can try all you want. Sorry, it's a private joke there.
Oh, no, trust me. He's been sending me stuff too. Trust me.
Oh, he's been sending everybody. We call him Crack Ducks. Like that's,
yep.
I don't know if you saw that little message in our group today where it was like me and Crack Ducks. I love you. And he's the Crack Duck now. Like she literally created a Facebook page called Crack Ducks Paracon.
I'm not surprised, honestly. But no, I mean, like growing up, like for me, like it was one of those things where like I enjoyed horror. I'm more of a, like I can go back and forth between comedy and horror because every time you need a little jump scare, but you need a little laugh.
Yeah.
So
I'm more into psychological thrillers.
I am too. And if you haven't watched one, I'll tell you what, Session 9 is such an amazing movie.
Okay.
It was actually filmed up here in Massachusetts at actually Danvers State Hospital before they tore it down. It was actually filmed there, but it is such a great psychological movie.
Okay.
So definitely look into that one.
Send me that in a message.
Of course, I can
remember it.
Yeah. Damien, I'm actually going to be seeing John Kassir in about a month because he's doing an event that I'm doing up here in Massachusetts. So,
is he doing that event?
Yeah, he's doing the Plymouth Paracon, or not Plymouth Paracon. There's an event down here in Plymouth, Massachusetts that is called the Hometown Haunts and Hops, and they're holding it at a brewery.
Hops. That sounds like beer.
Yes. So they're doing it at a brewery, and Gary's just here along for the ride.
He's just here for the looks.
Yeah,
I don't even know if he thinks he knows where he's at, but
on my way to the moon.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Let's go, man. But they're gonna have at this event, they're gonna have the original, well, not the original, but they're gonna have an Ecto 1 there, of course, from Ghostbusters. They're gonna have a Raccoon City Police patrol car from Resident Evil. And the one thing that really stuck out to me that was like, I'm doing this is this close, is they are actually going to have, I don't know how they got a hold of this, Oh God, needs more cowbell.
It's not a cowbell. Damien
Oh
said he was
Lord.
born on the wrong side of the water. No, we were.
No, we were, sir. We were. No, but I don't know how they got their hands on this, but oh, there's a bell. There's a bell.
Yeah, you weren't around for the bells.
I was not. But for somehow they actually got the actual screen used 1990 Tim Curry Pennywise costume.
Seriously.
So how they got that, I have no idea. But I've already told the event organizers, because I've been in touch with them because I'm getting a table at this event and everything. I told them, do not leave me in the same room as that alone, because I will be Nicolas Cage and the Declaration of Independence. It will be gone.
So when is this event? What weekend?
September 21st.
Okay.
So it is right here, literally like 25 minutes down the road.
I'll be in Jersey. I'm doing the
Para Unity.
New Jersey Psychic. No, I'm doing September 21st New Jersey Psychic Fair.
Okay.
Same people who run it, but
yeah.
I'll be doing the
okay.
New Jersey Psychic Fair.
But yeah, so when they brought that up, is I was just like, I'm in. I'm there. Like, no questions asked. I'm there.
Alibi. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. That sounds. I know. I like that. My lifelong goal is to move up to Maine. Is my destination because of my love for Stephen King.
Of course.
His movies and novels.
And it's cold up there. She wants to be in the cold.
You know, I lived up in Connecticut for a while. I know how you feel about Connecticut, but I lived up there, like in that area.
Connecticut.
The guy I was dating at that time was from Mass, and so we would most of the time we spent our time in Mass. I just worked and lived in Connecticut on a lake, because that's all there is in Connecticut, lakes.
And assholes.
Yeah. So anyway, we got completely off track.
Well, we did. We kind of went like way off topic here.
You grew up a really hard life. You
But I don't.
You're going to the military.
I don't. You know, I don't regret one moment that I lived growing up. Mm-hmm. Like when I got out of the military, I moved. You know, I met my first wife, and we had a daughter, and you know, we were married for almost 8 years, and then her and I, well, more her than I, decided to divorce. So in February of 2016, I moved in my own place. I was split custody with my daughter and everything. I was working 60 hours a week at a movie theater as a manager. So in some way, one way or another, I've always been involved with management and things like that. So, and that's something I just love to do, because I'm not an asshole, but I can be if I need to be. And that's where the great thing about management comes in, because it's better to catch flies with honey than it is vinegar. So, I mean,
exactly.
It's one of those things where I really kind of focus on, one of the big things I always say now, instead of, you know, getting upset or whatever, especially when somebody comes to me with an issue, or they're upset, or, you know, whatever, at the end of the interaction, I always say, you know, I hope you have the day you deserve. I don't say have a good day. I don't say whatever. I say, I hope you have the day you deserve, because if that, Gary, she needs a refill.
So you figured it out.
No, I know.
I was trying to be discreet there.
I'm gonna ring the bell. No, so February of 2016, I moved into my own place and everything. And we were going through the divorce proceedings and everything.
And this was in Ohio, right?
This was in Ohio. I was living in a town called Delaware, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus. Okay. And I was still working all the time and everything. I was taking care of my daughter, you know. And my ex-wife did not enjoy the fact that I started dating again. And in August, September, she, for no reason, just yanked my daughter from me, wouldn't let me see her. And I was like, okay, there's no reason for this. I'm paying child support. You know, I babysat her for, I wouldn't say a babysat. I was being a parent.
Yeah.
She would drop her off at 4:30 in the morning and I had to be at work at 8, but I would still get up, have her. I would be at work till 2 o'clock in the morning, come home, get 2 hours of sleep, be back up again to take care of her. Oh, Sabrina, so you know exactly where it's at. Yeah, I used to live in Delaware, Ohio. I used to work for Marcus Theaters, right there in Polaris. But I kind of saw what was coming, and because I see the bigger picture of things and I read the writing on the wall. So for me, it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, there's really not much left here for me. Like, if I'm not going to see my daughter, and I wasn't abandoning her, I wasn't, doing anything like that. There was just nothing left there for me. And so I started dating my now wife, and, I kind of talked to her and I was like, hey, why don't you, move to Ohio? It's cheaper
So
cost of
she was
living.
from Massachusetts.
She's from Boston. Well, yeah, she's from Braintree, which is
Okay.
everything up here is a suburb of Boston.
Mhm.
Because you say where you're from, and you say Quincy, Abington, Braintree, whatever, people are like, "Where's that at?" And you just say Boston, people know where you're.
I
Yeah,
know. I'm from Baltimore. You can't tell them you're from like Joppa because like what's
yeah,
that?
exactly.
You're
They'll be like,
Baltimore.
"What?" Yeah. So, it got to the point in December of 2016 where he told me, she's like, I'm not going to move to Ohio. She's like, I left my family once for a relationship, and if it doesn't work out, I'm not doing that whole thing again. And I was like, all right, well, I have nothing here for me. So I'm like, why don't I move there? So we had about 4 weeks, about a month. Hey, Wojo. Wojo's a great guy. He's co-host on Banner with Richie B on Get Haunted. Love those guys to death. But I talk about my struggles with my daughter and everything. It's coming up now, and if I get emotional, I'm sorry. It's been almost 2 years since I've gotten a picture of my daughter, even though I've been paying, child support and everything else. My ex-wife is just that terrible of a person. Hello. Was that an actual person or a spirit? Okay, I wasn't sure.
That's Audrey. It's Audrey.
Hey, Audrey.
Hello.
You're not going to toss me another stuffed animal, are you? Okay.
I know they were tossing back Toothless from
Toothless from yep.
Yes. I got a picture of that.
So
Yeah.
I decided to make that move. I was renting a 2-bedroom house, and I had a 1995 Ford Ranger, and I decided on a whim, I'm just going to toss everything that I can fit that I want in my truck, and I'm just going to move up to Math. Nicole at the time was looking for a place on Craigslist or whatever for me to live at, where they're renting a room, something like that. So because I was in Ohio, I was paying $650 a month for a 2-bedroom house on land, everything like that. I was paying $800 a month for a room up here in Massachusetts. So that was kind of a big shock to me. But I moved up here. The first place I got, things were going good. Like the first week or two I was here. And then I come to find out the guy I'm renting the room from is, and I don't want to throw anybody out there, but was one of the biggest cocaine dealers on the South Shore of Massachusetts, and was having very, very nefarious, I guess, activity going on when I was not at home, because I was working midnights at the time, and it was just, I got into a bad situation with him. Not that I was doing anything, but when I was living in his house, the house had been raided 4 times by the police.
Damn.
And it just got to the point where I'm like, I can't do this. I can't put myself at risk for being involved in this or anything. So I left, and that's when I started living out of my car. While looking.
You actually made a picture the other day about the
Correct.
hotels too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's when I started living out of my car, and that was by choice because I wanted to remove myself from a situation that could have been hazardous to me. because 2 weeks prior to me leaving, the guy I was renting the room from actually got jumped. Somebody came to his house and actually beat the living shit out of him because he owed them money. So I'm like, I can't be involved in this. Like I can't. So I
No.
made the decision to start living out of my car. And because I was working and I was also getting child support taken out and everything, I wasn't making that much to be able to live in Massachusetts by myself. Damien, my first car was actually a 1990 Chevy Cavalier 4-door. I remember that very specifically. So I removed myself and I was in my car for almost 2 weeks. And I was just driving from rest stop. I was staying at beaches because it was during the summer. So I was like, I'd pull up to a parking lot at the beach that was open all night, and I'd roll down my windows and I'd sit there and listen to the ocean. I'd fall asleep. And then when I started going into it a little bit, I was like, okay, I need a shower. I need a bed to lay in. I can't keep curling up in the back of my car.
It's so different now because we have like the people join, like there's a lot of people live in their cars now, and
yeah,
we have the Planet Fitness $10 a month and they can go in there and shower.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually did that. I actually signed up for Planet Fitness and I actually went and took showers there and everything.
Yeah.
So
That's like the best thing to do if you're homeless.
Well, because the job I was working at,
I've been homeless before too.
I was working for Home Depot, so I was doing overnights at Home Depot doing all the setups. So I would leave work and I'd be absolutely filthy. Like,
Yeah.
So I would have to go to like Planet Fitness and I'd go and do like 10 minutes on a treadmill and be like, okay, I'm gonna go take a shower now. Like, I didn't want to make it seem like I'm just walking in to use a shower and then leaving. Like, kind of make it seem a little, whatever.
Yeah.
But
let me do a little bits and then we'll
put a couple reps up, walk a little bit, it's fine. But the picture I did post, anybody that's friends with me on Facebook, I did post a picture of the motel I was staying at because I was actually renting weekly from a motel. And that was the first step to it. Like that was honestly the first step to it. And thankfully enough for me, Nicole actually found a place on Craigslist that actually was very suitable. It actually, I went out to California and did an event out there, which actually really relieved me a lot. Because I was like, I had a bed to sleep and I was in a hotel. I had a shower. It was, I didn't have to worry about where my next meal was coming from. And when I came back from California, Nicole told me, she's like, hey, I found you a place, why don't we go and meet this person? And, you can kind of decide for yourself. And so I went and I met him and it went great. And I actually lived there for almost 3 years. And it was beautiful. Like my back porch looked right over the ocean. Like it was absolutely amazing. And I'm not a beach person. I'm more of a mountain cabin kind of person. But I finally proposed to Nicole and we got our own place. And we've been in this place now for 4 years now. Actually, yeah, roughly over 4 years. Yeah. No, Kara, I really appreciate that. I'm an open book. I mean, I will tell you anything. I like.
You need to write a book.
Stacey was telling me, I probably do, but no one's going to read it. So, I mean, no one listens to me bitch anyway. So who's going to read my story? But no, I mean, it's one of those things that round 2.
He's not talking. He's just going to ring the bell.
But no, like I said before, I'm by no means a motivational speaker. I am no means, I try to lift everybody up when I can. But it's one of those things
you
where
don't give yourself enough credit.
I don't, and that's something I actually need to start doing more. And I know
we've been having that conversation, you and I both.
True. And like I said to you, Gettysburg really changed my eyes on a lot of things. And I think that was kind of the kick in the ass I needed to realize, like, I need to start not discounting myself and actually giving myself a little more credit.
And coming to more events and getting around your people more.
If I can. I mean, it's the problem. Like, we take one big big trip a year, and that's Gettysburg. And, if I had the ability to travel more, especially with Nicole's PTO and me working and everything like that, it's just difficult to do. But, it's one of those things where, like I said, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm speaking from the heart. I'm speaking from experience. And you know what? The experience I have is hoping that somebody doesn't have to go through the same thing I do.
Yeah.
And,
that's exactly it. Yeah.
even if they do go through the same thing I do, I can say, I've been there. I've been through it. I know what you're going through. Because you have those people where you're like, you tell them something and they're like, oh yeah, I can relate, but can you? Like, just because
have you ever wondered, like, I've been through, we have a very similar story in our life. We've talked about this. Have you ever wondered, like, I think I've come to the realization that I've been through all of this, so that way I can help these people. Like, it's almost my purpose. I don't want to call myself a martyr, but it's so that I know and I can connect and be like, yeah, I've been there, and really understand.
But you know what? You can throw yourself on a grenade in front of somebody to save them before you save yourself.
I don't know. Same for you.
I do.
We've been talking about that. Yes.
But you know what? Honestly, like I said, the experiences I've gone through in my life, I don't see it as a disadvantage. I see it as an experience. I see it as building to who I am today, because everything you've gone through in life is who molds you and makes you who you are today. And I wouldn't be the person. Yeah. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't go through that stuff. Like, I'm not going to be one of those, sorry, yeah. Did you just read that comment as well? Yeah.
Denny.
But I if I wouldn't have gone through those experiences, I'm not going to be that silver spoon kid in living the life of driving mommy and daddy's Mercedes Benz and everything like that. I've had to work, fight, everything for everything I have, everything I've done. So that's why, like, when you brought up earlier about the comment about that I bought myself a pair of jeans, that's a big thing for me. Like,
I know it was a really big thing for you. I was like,
I haven't bought my own jeans in probably 5 years.
I buy you jeans.
I never buy myself things, because immediately when I buy myself something, I always go, well, I could have used that money towards something else. I could have, done this. I could have done that.
And what is that underlying emotion that's under there?
Guilt.
Shame. Yeah.
I mean, it really honestly is. And it's one of those things where I don't discredit or look badly upon my past, because you know what? I've made my fair share of mistakes. Have I always been the best friend? Have I always been the best husband? Have I always been the best partner? No, I haven't been. And I can fully admit that, and it's one of those things where it's the self-reflection of you looking back on what you've done in your life. And I say it all the time, because people always ask, what makes you happy? What makes you satisfied with life? And my answer is always the same answer. And it's, if I can look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and smile and nod my head going, you did okay, then guess what? That's my happiness. That's where my pride comes from. Because guess what? I didn't hurt anybody. I helped people.
Yeah.
I didn't take away from people. I gave to people. It's one of those things where, if I have it, I'll give it. If I don't, I'll figure out a way for you.
Yeah. Susan mentions you must care for yourself, even if it's 15 minutes a day to meditate. And, I'm a big one. I always say, fill your own cup, fill your own cup. But what if filling your cup is helping other people? Because when I help and I see someone smile, or I got a message today and it just said, you don't know how much you have helped me and what you have done for me.
Yeah.
That fills me. So I will continue to be that healer and helper, and I will put myself out there. And I think you and I both need to realize that you in a sense are a healer in what you do. And that this is a way for you to give back. Well, not give back, but to your purpose.
Of course.
Mhm.
And I mean, you know what? And I'll go old school here. My cup of overflow for those that I help. And that is the
Mhm.
reason my cup overflows, is because I have more than enough to give to help other people. It may not be monetary, but it's emotional support. It's an ear to listen. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
shoulder to cry on. People don't realize that if somebody says, I need help, it's not always handing somebody a $5 bill. It's
Yeah.
sitting down and listening to the person.
Mhm.
And that means more to anybody else out there, is actually having somebody that's going to be unbiased and actually listens to you and doesn't judge you.
Mhm.
Because
So on that note, I want to connect that to your hat and the Losers Club.
yes,
Lovers Club. Like, for those of you who've seen Pennywise or seen it, like, you know what the Losers Club is. And isn't that what that's about? They hurt
Yep.
each other. They supported each other. They finally found that family.
that core group. And you know what? I always say, family doesn't have to be blood.
Yeah.
You have
I
your
know.
blood family, and you have your chosen
We
family.
had that conversation today too, didn't we? I had a
And
little moment today myself.
you know, you have your chosen family, and the family I have chosen has been
Mhm.
absolutely amazing. It has been an absolute great cause of support.
Mhm.
Yes, Kimberly, you are part of the Losers Club. I mean, anybody I come across, you're more than happy to join the Losers Club. I mean, honestly,
Yes.
it's one of those
I know.
things that
You have the tattoo. I actually am kind of thinking about getting it. Would that offend you if I did?
let me see if I
Here it
can
is.
twist my arm here enough, but
Yeah.
it's not really. Yeah, you can't really. My arm doesn't bend that way, but
It doesn't bend that way. So, who do you connect with most in the Losers Club?
I actually connect a lot with Bill, excuse me, because he's the shy guy. He's the kind of, I'm going to take the back step, but when shit falls down, he's the one that's right there doing everything.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
He's not the one to rely on,
I
but
get chills.
when push comes to shove,
Mhm.
he's right there.
Mhm. I
So,
know.
I mean,
I watched that movie after our wedding
yeah.
because I just was like, oh, I need to watch it. I haven't watched it in
Now,
a
did
while.
you
And I
watch
actually
the
never
original
watched it.
90?
No,
Did you
I
watch the
watched
original
the
90?
new one.
Okay,
I watched the
chapter
original.
1.
Right?
Okay,
You watched the new? No, I watched the new one because I had
okay.
never seen the new one.
So you
So I
watched
watched the new
Skarsgård
one.
instead of Curry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I watched it and I was like, because it was like literally like when we got back from the bash. I think it was that Sunday or that Monday when we got back from the bash. And I was like, which one does Russ relate to? And I did. And I think that was the one that I kind of felt like, yeah, that's who you are,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's the one I would relate to. I mean, you had 7 members of the Losers Club, and they made that commitment at the end of the movie. If he comes back, we come back. And you know what? My core group of people, we are the Losers Club, because if anything goes down, we know
Mhm.
we're all coming back, and I can know who I can trust and I
Mhm.
can count on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what makes the Losers Club is, we are lovers. We are putting out good into the world,
Mhm.
and we are, helping everybody. We may be the island of the misfit toys, but guess what? We'll be the first one in line to help you out.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to
Mhm.
boost everything here for myself or whatever, but I'm just telling
It's not
everybody
that.
out there that's listening that no,
Mhm.
this is how I am. I mean, like, if you come to me and say, "Hey, I need $20," and I'm like, "Sorry, I don't get paid till next Friday, but what do you need help with? I can put you in contact with somebody that may be able to help you."
Mhm.
When
I
I
know
was homeless,
you check in on me all the time. I check on you. Like
yeah,
we're always like, hey, what's going on? If I see a post,
yep.
I'm like, boom. You see a post of mine, you're like, hey, what's going on?
Yes, the island of the Misfit Toys is the best island. It's definitely a great island to be on. I hear they
It
have a
is.
dentist on that island too. So,
Yeah, is that who you relate to on that one? The dentist?
oh yes,
Oh
of course
yeah,
I did.
definitely. I feel like I'm Rudolph. Like I always feel like I don't know. That's I don't know.
But no, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if anybody comes to me, I'm going to help them out any way I possibly can. And if I can't help you out, guess what? I'm going to put you in contact with somebody that can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of the things, like, I was told multiple times when I was sleeping in my car, they're like, I had people message me and be like, why don't you go to a shelter? And I'm like, because you know what? I have a car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have enough money to get like a 7-Eleven hot dog or,
I've slept in
whatever.
shelters. I'd rather sleep in my car.
And that's the thing. I said, like, I've told multiple people, I'm like, I don't want to take up space for somebody that actually needs it. I have a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's in a parking lot or a tent, I have a roof over my head. I don't need to stay in a shelter. Give that to somebody that actually needs it. So, it's one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because you have that common connection.
Like,
What's the matter?
sorry. Yes, exactly. I'm like,
Oh, I don't care. I'll light up right now too.
yes, go ahead. I think everybody knows we smoke. So go ahead. Light
I
one.
try to behave on shows, but
I don't have any.
I know, but we're getting very deep, and I think
no,
it's one of
that's
those-
fine. No, and you know what?
That's
It's one of those things where,
course.
you know, I believe I am who I am because of my experiences I've
Mhm.
lived in my past.
Yeah.
One of the big things I really want to do for myself, and this is one thing I actually will do for myself, is I want to get a past life regression reading done.
You know what's so funny? I'm getting ready to share. Well, you're not from this area, but my Reiki master is having a lady come into her shop and doing past life regressions, and like, I was like, oh, so many people have reached out to me and asked for that. It's not something I do yet. I'm working on it, but I don't feel confident in it. But
I would feel
Pennsylvania.
I would love to know like what my past lives were, because I've always said I was born in the wrong era. I really honestly was.
Yeah.
You said something last night on my show that kind of stuck out to me. You said I have some sort of connection to the Holocaust.
You're in the Holocaust. I do. I feel that. Like, and I've a couple times that has come back, and I keep like just now in my head, like what the Holocaust happened at what years? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not
40 something to 50 something, I want to say.
Something, like in the 40s and 50s, right? So
yes.
What just came in my head was you were born in 1920. So that would make it perfectly aligned with that. But you know what? I honestly think that you were on the opposite side, the side that was not liked. And I think you've come back to, and that's why you feel like you have to help so much, and you've kind of lived this life.
Well, that is kind of funny because I actually do have German descent.
Yeah, you need to kind of fulfill a karmic debt.
Yep.
Because some of the things that you've done, but I don't think you did it on purpose. And now as I'm talking, more and more is coming through, and here we go. I didn't think I was doing readings tonight, but like as you're doing that, like you were like, you didn't want to do what you did, but you had to do it, and you had to do it. You were forced to do it. And even this, that's why it keeps coming into your life where you feel so trapped and forced to live a certain way, because that's how it was in your past, and you had to follow this code. Like I'm seeing like Wizard of Oz, the monkeys, and like, because that to me, I relate that to the Holocaust, like the monkeys in the Holocaust, that there was a connection there in that.
Okay, so my wife's favorite movie is Wizard of Oz. Yeah, she hates the monkeys. She will literally close her eyes and turn away from the screen when the monkeys come on.
Well, I don't know for sure, but I think those monkeys are a correlation of the Nazis. I think that there was a correlation there.
Of course. Well, I mean, look at the time Wizard of Oz was made. Yes,
and I think that was I don't know the word, representation or whatever you call it. Of that.
I feel like I've had connections to the Titanic. Okay. I feel like I've had connections to the Speakeasy era. The Prohibition era.
Okay.
like I said, I feel like I was just born in the wrong century. Like I just
Mhm.
I'm, anybody that meets me kind of has to get used to my sense of humor because I am very dark. I make jokes very
Yeah.
candidly and very, um, and unless you know my sense of humor, you're not really gonna get me. But I am also probably one of the kindest persons you will ever meet. Like,
You are.
and I don't say that to boost my own ego or anything. I'm saying that because, like, genuinely, I feel like there are a lot more horrible people out there that are a lot more horrible than me. And if I can make one person smile a day, then that
Why do
fills
you
my
think
heart.
you're so bad? And see, that's that karmic debt. You have this karmic debt. You think you're this bad person because of what you did in a past life that you're now trying to fulfill and trying to appease.
Well,
So
see
I
now,
think
Stacey, you
from
have
Akashic Records.
you have so many people in the chat now that want you that they want you to practice on them.
I mean, I'll practice because I'm in the middle of like this has been coming up for me a lot lately. Is these and Akashic
J-
Records,
j-
past
just
lives, stuff like that.
just take it for a grain of
So,
salt. But no, I mean, you know what? Honestly, it's one of those things where, like I said, I'm not kind of touting my own ego
Susan
or
called you
anything like
dark
that.
but sweet like chocolate.
I am the whitest person you will meet ever.
White chocolate.
And I'm not a sweet person at all. Like, I mean, not I don't like sweets. I am a very sweet person.
Okay.
But you know what? This is one of the things I always think about. Like, perfect example. When I was getting ready to do your wedding, I was like, anything you guys want, just tell me. You don't.
You were so nervous too at the same time. You were
Well, it
more
was
nervous.
one of those things where I just wanted it to go well, and I wanted it to be, a good thing for the both of you.
Yeah.
And it was like I went through the whole thing of like, do you guys have any stories? Do you guys have memories? And like I hit on all of those in the wedding. And my goal was to make Gary cry, but I was right there,
He
right
said he
there,
almost did. He
right
almost did.
there. And like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But I'm a very emotional person. My wife gives me shit all the time because we'll watch TV shows and I'll cry. And
I
that's
want to
just
pin this comment real quick.
sure.
Damien, I do too. Russ and I have a very close relationship, so I feel like I already have his permission. And I'm sorry,
Yes.
Russ, if I didn't ask you ahead of time
No, you're fine. You're perfectly fine.
to do that. Okay.
He ran
But
it
I
last
do
night
normally
during
do
our
that.
show.
Yes. Okay. I normally do that. I normally like, hey, I'm getting something. Do you mind if I tell you?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just
No. He ran two ITC devices last night during our the show he was on
Mhm.
with me. And some of the responses he got actually made a lot of sense with some of the things around my apartment. So, and actually I did have some activity last night.
Did I miss
So,
that? I must have missed that part.
well, it wasn't on air. I was like, I finished
Oh,
up the show and I was sitting up a little bit and like, I finished a cigarette, I finished a beer, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and everything. I smoked. Okay, for those of you that don't know, I do partake in the the God's green.
It's an herb.
It,
I'm an
it,
herbologist. It's an
it,
herb.
it is broccoli. Um,
Mhm.
so
You could
I was
smoke
standing,
mugwort legally, and it does this
but I
just
was
as
standing
much.
in my bathroom and I heard almost shuffling across my floor, like little kid feet, like shuffling.
Susan,
And I
he
was like,
does have a ghost over his shoulder. Where did you get that ghost?
I have no idea. I know some woman gave it to me. But I really really don't know where it came from. But I haven't named Ghosty yet, but I got Rocky, my emotional trash panda, over here.
Okay.
I mean, Trash Panda Express. I mean, come on.
Mhm.
Um, but like I was in the bathroom and I heard like shuffling, and I was like, okay, so I have like eyeglass wipes that I use, and I just toss them on my
Mhm.
coffee table. Well, that bag was actually buried underneath the the wipes and everything, the ones I used. When I came out of the bathroom and back into the living room, the bag that I just showed you all, legitimately, this bag right here. I mean, it's a decent
Okay.
sized bag. Was laying in the middle of my floor of my living room.
Really?
And I was like, that was buried. How did it like it literally honestly didn't even disturb any of the wipes or anything like that. And it was just literally on the middle of my floor. And I was like, okay, that's a thing, I guess. But like some of the responses that Damien sent me actually today, I actually had Nicole really read through them. And she was like, yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense. We actually do know we have a little girl in our apartment that is actually linked to something that we have. We just don't know what it is. But we do have, I believe, 2 kid spirits in the apartment itself. And there's probably other plethora of things because I collect haunted objects. I collect, things from different locations, everything like that. So, but it's just one of those things where, you asked me before the podcast how I wanted to identify myself as, like whether it be an investigator or whatever. I haven't really investigated in a while, so I don't really consider myself an investigator, and I'm more so focused on the podcasting side of things because I love to talk to people and I love to interact and everything like that. But if I get a good investigation or somebody invites me on one, yes, I'll go. But it's kind of not one of those things that is the front of my mind anymore.
Have you ever had an attachment?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You want to get into that story? Okay. Talk amongst yourself for a second because I got to take a quick bathroom break.
Okay.
But talk amongst yourself for a second, especially if people in the chat room don't know what an attachment is. Just go and fill in.
Yeah, we'll talk about attachments. You go to the bathroom. We'll talk about attachments. So, if anybody's in the chat room has ever had an attachment, sometimes we do these investigations. We do those great locations that have lots of energy. We tend to bring something home with us. Brooke says, how do you know if you have an attachment? Well,
I had one. I knew.
You knew. Gary has had one. I'd say your mood changes.
Yeah.
You start sometimes you might feel sick. You might feel down. You might feel like, oh, just kind of icky. Our earbuds are going out. You might feel icky. You might feel like you might start having like emotional responses. Your emotions might go kind of crazy. You're just not yourself. You just don't feel like yourself. If you are an experienced, I don't want to say experienced investigator, but experienced in getting attachments, then you know what's come to you. Gary, why don't you tell your story of an attachment while I go to the bathroom?
Mine was a battlefield bed and breakfast. I'm not sure if it actually came from the barn or there because we were in the battlefields. But I went into the barn alone and I felt it. And Stacey noticed it on the way home, but I didn't. I kind of blew it off. I didn't feel angry, nothing. I just knew something was attached. And I was working at a place that we built military equipment, I'll say. So Stacey wanted to sage me right away, and I'm like, no. Well, I got real firm. I was like, no. And she was like, why not? And I said, they want to see modern day military equipment. So I just started at this place, and it's like a city. And I walked around all these buildings. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be in them or not. Looked at pretty much every vehicle, I'll use that term, and kind of went back to where I was supposed to be working, and I actually felt good after that. Went home, had Stacey sage me, cleanse me, and all that, but it felt like it was gone at that point. And I think that was the same time we got home, and I put my bag down the room, and I seen an orb come down the hall. And I think that was the same time. But it was nothing bad. It was cool. It was different.
Whoa. There you go. I don't know what's going on.
I'm scared. Help me.
Yeah.
No. No, I had to light up another one because we're about to get into a deep conversation here. This is one, anybody listening or watching, I may get a little choked up here because, like I said, my grandmother, who was into radio, means so much to me. So I can't tell specifically where my attachment came from. This was shit. More than 12 years ago, because my grandmother's been gone for 14 years now. The group I was with in Ohio, we were able to book Bobby Mackey's. And I was like, okay, great. You know, we all tossed our money in on it and everything like that. And we had it set. We were going to do Bobby Mackey's 1 month and we are going to do Waverly the next month. And where I lived in Ohio, it was like literally a 4-hour drive. So they weren't that far away. So my grandmother went into the hospital the week before our investigation, and she knew how much, investigating and everything meant to me. And when she was in the hospital, she was like, she wasn't the greatest, but she was doing all right. And my dad was supposed to go with us, but he's like, no, I can't, I got to stay here. And I was like, all right, well, if you're not going, I'm going to stay as well, because I'm, and nothing against my siblings, but I was the only biological grandchild to that grandmother. So I always had a closer connection to her in that side of the family and everything. And I went in and saw her. I was there every day. Like when I got off work, I'd pop in and see her, visit with her for an hour or so every day. And I told her, I was like, hey, I have an investigation coming up. I'm not sure if I should go. I'm like, you're not doing the best right now. I'm like, I kind of want to, be close. And she was like, no, you need to go. This is what you love to do. You need to go and you need to do what you want to do. And I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yes, go. It's perfectly fine. Okay. So I went on the investigation. So from Youngstown, Ohio to Wilder, Kentucky is about a 3.5, 4-hour drive. My team and I took 2 cars. There was about 4 people in each car. The hell candy are you eating right now, Stacey?
Tea biscuits. I
I'm
thought it
eating
was something
tea
good.
biscuits.
I'm thinking, oh man, she's got something good.
Where's
I'm
the
on
tea
a
then?
diet.
Where's
I'm
the
eating
tea
a
then?
diet. I'm on Weight Watchers. Look, I've eaten Pop-It chips.
Pop chips are actually really good. I will say that. But we all got up in the morning. We all gathered up. We got in the cars. We drove down. Had a great meal and everything. And I just felt like the entire time I was like, we were going down there, because it was the only time that I have never taken my own car. I was in somebody else's car. And I never do that because I always want to have, like, because of, the ADHD and everything, I always want to have that way out if need
I know,
be.
that's how I am. We're planning the girls' weekend. I'm like, I'm going to drive myself because I need my car.
Yeah, I don't want to be stranded. I don't want to be stuck somewhere. So the minute we hit the parking lot, we get out and I'm taking pictures of Bobby Mackey's and everything. We haven't even gone into the building yet. We haven't met the owners, nothing. We haven't done anything. And I get a phone call from my dad. And I was like, okay, he's probably just, calling to check out, see how everything was going. And as soon as I picked up the phone, I was like, hey, what's going on? Well, we just pulled into Bobby Mackey's. I'm about to send you some pictures. He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, that's great. Yeah, send me the pictures. And immediately I heard the tone in his voice and I was like, what's going on? He's like, I just want to let you know your grandmother passed away about 30 minutes ago. I was like, I'm sorry. And I couldn't go anywhere. I was stuck. It's not like one of my teammates was going to let me take their car and drive 4 hours back. So, it was one of those things where I kind of sat and processed it for a little bit. And I decided to go and do the investigation,
What
which
wanted you to go now?
if anybody out there, an energy worker or anybody out there knows, you never go into an investigation emotionally, physically, or mentally compromised.
Exactly. Yeah,
Because you open yourself up to so much.
you do. You absolutely do. Mhm.
So I did that investigation. It wasn't very active, like I not that I saw at least. I got back home. I was living in Youngstown. We kind of got everything settled with my grandmother. We had the wake and the funeral service and everything. And a couple weeks after that, I started feeling, even my friends. I hung out with my friends every week, every weekend. It was either we were at somebody's house having a bonfire, you guys were at my place doing, watching movies or playing video games or whatever. And something in me just clicked. And something in me just changed. And I didn't know what it was. I wasn't sure because I was still, I at that point, I really didn't believe in the spiritualistic side of the paranormal investigating. I didn't believe like the energy transfers and things like that. So in a matter of 2 weeks, I lost my job. I got an eviction from my townhouse I was living in. My wife left me because she was living with me in Youngstown, but her parents lived in Columbus. So she literally, one day I went to work. It was actually the same day I got fired. I come home from work early and she's packing bags. And I was like, you were just going to leave without telling me, just, being at work, you're just going to leave. And she's like, well, this is something that has to be done. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. So I was at that point where I was like, I went from being depressed to being pissed to, whatever it may be. And it got really dark for me. It really got really dark for me, like to the point where my friends actually called the police on me because they were worried about me. And actually there's a tattoo on my arm that actually has all their initials on it because I literally was at the point I was going to end my life. And actually it was 2010 because it's there in the tattoo. And my team convinced me to come do an event in October in Kentucky. And I had reservations about it because I was like, Kentucky, last time I went to Kentucky, something bad happened. I don't want to do that again. So we did a Halloween event with Chris Deadman and Jenny Stewart. And Jenny Stewart is an amazing medium, an amazing energy healer. She does some amazing work. Am I lagging over here? Because it kind of feels like my camera's doing something. But
No, you don't feel like you're lagging, but on your end, I can feel the energy coming from your end. So
yeah.
it's like this attachment's still there.
No.
I didn't feel it when I did Reiki on you. So
I learned from that experience. So I had Jenny actually met me, not Jenny Davis, Jenny Stewart, actually met me at this event. And I had never met this woman before in my life. And the first time I met her, something's going on because I'm like glitching over here.
are you guys seeing everything okay? Message in the comments.
I'm kind of getting like a glitch. Like I'm almost like delayed a little bit. And it's only when I'm talking about the attachment, which is really, really weird.
I know that's what's really weird. Yeah.
But she literally, the first time I met her, she looked at me, she introduced herself, and she shook my hand. And she was like, you have an attachment, right? And I was like, what the hell's an attachment? Like, I have no idea what this is. And she's like, what you have on you is not good. And I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, whatever you say. And then the next day, there it goes again. The next day, I completely avoided her for no reason at all. I just completely avoided her. True. Um, but she's like, we need to do some work on you. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We can definitely do that. And I was just kind of being like open-minded about it. Like, okay, if this is what you think needs to be done, whatever. All right, that's fine. So that night she approached me and she's like, all right, it's time to do this. I had 3 energy workers on me. I had a shaman and I had 2 mediums on me that were trying to remove this attachment.
Have I heard this story before? I don't think you've ever told me this, but I feel like I've heard it before.
You probably heard it before. I mean, I've
Okay.
said it on a couple shows I've been on and everything like
Maybe
that.
I've
It's not
maybe I've read it more.
in
Okay.
depth as
Okay.
this.
Okay.
It
Maybe
took
we
almost
did
3.
talk about it.
It took almost 3 hours for the attachment to be removed. It took 3 people and almost 3 hours for the attachment to be removed. And
Wow.
the shaman who was in his 80s, who has been doing this for 60 some years, actually physically got sick. And the next morning I woke up, I felt great. I like
Do you feel it was from Bobby Mackey's?
That's the only place I could really think, unless I had one prior and then it just became forefront.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I woke up the next morning, I felt great. They actually have before and after pictures of me from before I got the attachment removed to after the picture, after I got the attachment removed.
Okay.
And there you could see a literal difference in the way I look.
Yeah.
Like I look 10 years younger in the after picture. It was one of those things where I was just like, okay, I didn't believe it. Well, the shaman got physically sick when removing the attachment. And the spot of grass where he got sick was actually dead the next morning. And it was literally just that spot. Nothing else. It was just that spot.
So there's some controversy with Bobby Mackey's. I mean, I know there's a lot of.
Yes.
We just watched a show about that.
I know we just watched Haunted Discoveries, which just went to Bobby Mackey's and kind of dispelled some of the myth there. But there has been a lot of there's portals there. You know that there's demonic energy there. I've never been there. I can't speak on it. But
well, let's just say this: after I had my attachment removed, I went back home. I went back home after the event. We'll turn it on speaker.
You can't hear anything.
I can hear the bell. Oh, you just blacked everybody out. So you're on mute now. So after I got the attachment removed, I went back home. I actually, within the week I returned back home, I had 4 job offers that came through. My then ex-wife, now we reconciled things. I saved my apartment. And things just started going great for me. And that's when I started to delve more into the mediumship and the energy working and everything like that. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Gary's going to go up. Gary's going to go. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, Gary's going to go up to bed because he can't hear anymore. And
okay, Gary, thank you for joining.
I think he just wants an excuse to go to bed.
Probably, most likely.
Yeah.
But no,
yeah. We usually only go till 10, and we're going a little over, so that's fine. Like this is.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm completely sorry.
No, we're fine. Keep going. I know. We're in a good conversation. As long as you're okay staying on, I'm okay too.
No, it's fine. Like I just, I like the attachment after that happened. It was one of those things where I kind of started to kind of get a little bit more into how energy transference works and things like that. And that's what made me become an energy healer. And, I do energy.
You have Reiki 1, right? Is that what you have?
I have never had any Reiki training at all. Okay. I have all been self-taught and everything like that. Okay. So I want to get my Reiki training.
We're gonna have to get that in for you. I just gave Bailey and her Amber Reiki 1. So we're gonna have to get that done for you.
Yeah. So I mean, Jenny's been telling me that I need to get into it too, but
Mhm.
But what I have done since then is I have more focused on the attachment removal from people.
Well, I know you took my headache away. Remember at the bash, like
Uh-huh.
I was having some issues, and you came and you put your hands on my head. I don't know what you did. You took it all out. Like that was pretty amazing.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm not certified. I'm not like documented or anything like that. I am a documented citizen if anybody's listening, but,
You're a
it's one of those
documented
things.
member of the Losers Club.
Yes, yes, for sure. That is one certificate I can say I'm part of.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was one of those things where I focused more on attachments and attachment removals because that was something that impacted my life, and I would never want anybody to go through that. Same thing like with the conversation we had earlier, the experiences I had growing up and living through my life, I would not want anybody to go through that. So I try to help people avoid that.
So how would you give advice to people to avoid attachments when they're doing investigations?
Definitely protection. I mean, everybody has their own way to do it, whether it be saying a prayer, wearing, a medallion, you know, having crystals. Hey, Ernie.
Hey, Ernie joined us. Hi, Ernie.
Ernie.
Are you on duty? Are you on duty right now,
He
or you
probably
just get
is.
off? Or
But it's only 10 o'clock. I don't know if he got it. I think he works a midnight shift. I don't know. I'm not sure. But
I think he's swinging. He goes back and forth.
it's one of those things where I always say, "Oh, he's on shift." Well, thank you for
He's
tuning
another
in.
one, Ernie. I want to have you on here to tell your story of the things you've seen.
Yes,
So.
yes. Ernie is definitely a great guest. But I mean, it's one of those things where I got completely off topic here. I can't remember what I was talking about.
How to protect yourself from attachments. Yeah.
Okay, so what I always tell people, you can say a prayer, you can wear a medallion, you can carry a crystal, you can, do whatever you want to do, ground before an investigation. Oh, good job, Ernie.
Oh, wow.
Kudos to you.
Awesome.
Boys in Blue up north in Canada. Or no, he's not in Canada. He's in
No,
is he
he's in Maryland. Maryland.
Okay.
He is
All
one
right.
of the boys in blue in Maryland. He is no longer in Baltimore. He was a Baltimore City police officer, I believe, but now he's outside of the city. But
I was thinking of Wes. He's the correctional officer up in Canada.
yes.
I'm sorry. Everybody I meet kind of blurs together. But I tell everybody, you do what makes you feel comfortable. And one thing I always try to drive home to people is it only goes as far as you believe in it.
That's a really good one. I like that. It's that belief and intention, right?
Yes, because you set your intentions of I'm going to be protected. I'm going to be guarded.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe that yourself, then guess what? There's a crack in the wall.
Exactly. Crack. I like that. There's a movie, or I'm thinking of Doctor Who with a crack in the wall. But
I've never seen a single episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, you're such a geek and you didn't watch Doctor Who?
Ooh, I've never watched it.
Yes.
Okay, you want to know something else that's probably gonna like shatter your heart?
Oh, Star Wars. Okay.
No.
Right.
No, I've seen all of Star Wars, even the bad ones.
You better not say you've never seen Avengers or Marvel.
I worked at a movie theater when half those movies came out. Of course I saw them.
Okay.
I saw them before anybody else saw them.
Okay.
No, but I will say this. I have, and I can say this, hand to God, I have never seen a single episode of Stranger Things.
So can I. So can I. I never have. It's on my list, I guess. I don't know. It's not something that Oh, Damien said blank. See, Damien, like my heart is in the UK. Like I love Doctor Who. You need to watch Doctor Who. That is your assignment.
Okay, I'll get into it.
Watch the new ones before you watch the old ones.
Okay, if anybody out there, if we're throwing out shows that nobody's ever seen, and if you really, really want to watch a damn good show, I believe Netflix still has it on. Larissa Rex. Hey, honey, how you doing?
Hey, Larissa. Hi, love.
I know they've been busy down at 24 Hours of Hell down at the Hell House and everything like
I
that. So that
know. I
like
know.
Dave Childers was just down there. I know Santiago was just
Yes.
up there. So congratulations, you guys.
Larissa, I need to get back to you about this weekend. I
But
forgot to text you. So
if you want a very good show to watch that will keep you captivated from start to finish and has ties to Maine, it is written and directed by Mr. Joe Hill himself, who is Stephen King's son. And is a little show called Lock and Key.
I did see that. I was actually at someone's house. And I was like, oh, what's this? And it looked really interesting. And I never got back to watching it, but yeah.
It hit me in a completely different way because one, I love Stephen King, and Joe Hill writes just like his dad does. Secondly, I collect skeleton keys. So that just like tied into it. And then you have the supernatural.
Do you know my
aspect of
house
it.
key is still a skeleton key?
Oh no shit.
It is like my house key is still like I still open my door with a skeleton key.
Oh. Okay, now I'm jealous.
Okay.
But no, if anybody out there has not seen Lock and Key yet, definitely watch that out. I mean, it is that you will watch it start to finish and you'll be captivated. I think there's 2 seasons of it. So
Larissa, you missed it all. We had Russ crying. He told us his life story. Yeah, you need
it's
to go
not
back
that
and
interesting,
watch.
I promise.
Russ is a wonderful person and has a wonderful story of how he rose from the ashes, the phoenix.
No, but you know what's really funny about that is I actually have a phoenix tattooed on my back.
And you've been seeing the dragonfly lately too.
The dragonfly. I saw it again today. I was on break at work and I saw it again today.
Okay. Transition.
I did.
Transition. And you are kind of right now going through this transition after the bash.
Yes.
You're kind of getting back into yourself and who you are and what you are and grabbing back into owning your commanding your presence.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things that I do. Like, I co-host Untruned with Jenny Davis, and that show's great. But I do Compass Curiosties on Monday, which Jenny produces for me, which I am extremely grateful that she produces for me because I'm 40 years old. I'm technologically advanced, so I don't know.
She's helping me out tonight, and she's been wonderful. So,
but she does all that for me, and it's just like I'm lucky I even have Facebook, honestly, because I have no idea. Good night, Danielle. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening.
Good night, Danielle. I'll see you in a few weeks, actually, or about a month, or a little over a month. I'm gonna be staying with them.
But it's one of those things where I just kind of like, I kind of saw what I needed to do, and Jenny and I have promoted Untruned pages so much, but Compass Curiosity has always kind of been a second thought, and I want to, and no offense to Jenny, I know she's listening, but I've wanted to promote Compass more, and I wanted to get that name out there a little bit more and everything. Just for me, I still love Unturned Pages because we've been on the air for God. I can't even imagine how long, and we've done some great interviews and everything like that. But having something to share with somebody, but also having a standalone is something that's absolutely amazing. And I've been promoting both shows and everything, and even when I go to events now, I still promote both shows and everything. But I've kind of found my self-worth, I guess you could say. And you know what? If people don't like it, go pound sand, because it's one of those things where I'm now becoming more assertive in my life and going after what I think I deserve. And if people don't like that, that just means people were taking advantage of me prior to me standing up.
Exactly. And I want to chime in here as a therapist and as a healer, like, and I know we've had this conversation. I really feel like we heal through community.
Yes.
We need community. Being alone and singular is not our way of being as humans. We need to heal through community. And when you get around a community like you did at the bash, it boosted that confidence. It made you feel loved. It made you feel welcomed. It made you feel like, yeah, I do have something to offer. And you're like, damn it, I'm going to bring this out here. and it gave you that which you needed. And that's why community is so important. That's why we need to promote positive community to everyone. Like, we need to just welcome and promote that positive community.
And the one thing I will say about the bash is not only did I shed 10 pounds of hair, but I also shedded all the negativity off my life.
That was the Reiki session you had with me.
That was free.
Because you were one of the lucky ones. I actually got a very quiet, private Reiki session in my room. No, it wasn't like that. His wife was before him. But you
doesn't sound any better.
No, you actually didn't have to do it with all the noise and inside the ballroom. And
I actually made, and there is something, Larissa, I love you too. I mean, I'm so glad that I met you. I believe it was 2 years ago at the bash, fellow veteran, love you guys to death.
She's another one I'm going to have on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reach out to her to get her on my show for Compass and everything. But it's one of those things when I was doing Reiki, and I'll feel free to share this, like, cause I don't have anything, but like I said, I was seeing blue when I had my eyes covered and everything. I was seeing blue, and you said normally people see purple. So it was one of those things that kind of jumped out to me. And when you were kind of like moving down towards my legs, doing the Reiki and everything, it felt like there was 2 people doing Reiki. And I was just like,
I'm really an alien and I have multiple hands. No,
that's what I was worried about. Like, because you're laying there with your eyes covered, you're not seeing anything. Like, you don't know what's going on. And it was the first time I've ever had Reiki done. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anything like that, but it was like I took, and no offense, but it was literally like I took a drop of acid, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on right now? I'm seeing all these like kaleidoscopes of colors and like all this shit, and I'm feeling like multiple hands, and I'm like,
no one has described it like that ever.
I'm like, what is going on right now?
It's energy.
It really honestly was. And me being an energy healer, being able to open myself up to be able to be healed myself, like it was a big step for me, because and anybody out there that is an energy healer, you can yell at me, that's fine. My DMs are always open. But when I do an energy removal of an attachment or something like that, not the safest thing to do, and I would not suggest this to anybody unless you are comfortable and strong enough to do it. I take the attachment on myself.
I don't. With Reiki, you don't have to. Yeah, that's why we need to get you Reiki.
Yeah, when I do the energy healing, I take the attachment on myself because I know I can get rid of that attachment. Do you want to join and talk with us?
She can't hear you. You're in my ears.
Okay. But
she said, "Do you want to join and talk with us?"
I mean,
don't eat her head.
She's hungry.
You need food. Oh, okay.
I'm not. Go eat food. Go.
Don't you know how to make ramen?
Yeah, that's exactly what she's gonna make.
I was gonna say, throw a tea cookie at her.
A tea biscuit.
But no, cookie biscuit, whatever.
Oh, she's eating her Chipotle she had from earlier.
Oh,
we had a girl's day.
Don't play with me like that. I haven't had Chipotle in a while. But no, like I take the risk myself, and I take the attachment on because I know how to dispel it, get rid of it, everything like that. Which isn't always the best thing, because there have been times where it's been a little bit more difficult to get rid of things.
Yeah.
But I actually have I wouldn't say a situation, but there are times when I'm investigating and I go into a trance and I start channeling. And the only person that can bring me out of it is actually Nicole. She knows how to bring me out of it safely. She knows how to bring it out of me effectively.
Because she's your person.
She is my person. She is my person. And you know what? That I moved 500 miles away from my home state to be up here. And I've been up here for 8 years now. And I do not regret it one damn bit. At all. I do not regret it. She came with me to the very first year at Gettysburg when Pam Steve put it on. And that has been our go-to every year. That's been our vacation. Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things. And Kara, thank you so much. I I hope my words and my story enlighten people and empower people to know that just because you fall doesn't mean you don't have to get up.
Yeah,
It's not
Kara,
how
we
many
talked
times
like, yeah, go ahead.
it's
Sorry.
not how many times you fall. It's how many times you dust yourself off and get back up.
Hmm.
And not to sound cliche
Absolutely.
there or anything, but
No, you don't know how right you are on that message for her. Like I know a little more than you do about her situation, and that is a pretty spot on message. Kara was supposed to be getting on my table all weekend at the bash, but something kept standing in the way. So yes, Kara, we need to connect. Yeah.
you know what, Kara? No matter how much dirt is kicked in your face, you get up and you smile right in those assholes' faces and be like, you know what? I'm still here. And I'm still gonna stand here and I'm gonna stand my ground. And that's the one thing I can say to you, Kara. I probably met you in passing at the bash at some point. You probably saw me and my shenanigans going on, but that's the one thing I will tell you: don't ever let anybody put a foot on your back, because it was one of those things that you just stand there and you smile at those assholes and you go, you know what? Kick all you want at me. I'm still gonna stand here and smile right back at you because I am better than what is given to me, and I am better than what I am right now. Because guess what? Life is a constant improvement. And as long as you can smile at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, guess what? You are loved, you are wanted, you are heard, you are seen, and you matter.
Love it.
God, I just became
Yes.
Tony Robbins there for a second.
No,
The hell?
that was fucking amazing. You said you weren't you weren't a motivational speaker, and that sounded pretty freaking motivational. Seriously.
Well, because
Russ,
I don't put up with bullies. I'm sorry. I don't put up with
no.
bullies. I don't put up with the bullshit. I
Mhm.
say what's on my mind, and it's gotten even worse. And like I say worse because I've always been a very timid person prior to Gettysburg. And after this, 2 weeks ago in Gettysburg, I found my voice again. And I'm not going to put up with anything.
Third chakra. We're going to fix that. Mm-hmm.
And I know you want to end this. I know you want to go off
I
because
do.
you want to
No,
go
actually,
spend.
I could sit here. I could sit here and spend another hour talking to you, but
No,
obviously,
go spend time. Go spend time with hubby. Go make your daughter
yes.
food. Whatever you need
Oh,
to
she
do.
can make her own freaking food. She's almost 15.
Kara,
But
I'm glad.
yeah.
I'm glad it's happy tears.
And that's my point. I think that's your point too. I'm going to end it on that. Like, we do this because there might be, if there's one person that is watching every time that benefits or it changes them, that is so powerful. And then that's what we strive for. That's what we want to do. We want to change lives. We want to create a different world.
I don't want to change lives. I want to influence a life to become better. Because you know what?
Yes.
You can't change someone's life that doesn't want to change their life. But you can influence them to be better.
Yes.
And to do better and make better decisions.
Yes. Absolutely. And you're right with that one. Not change lives, but influence them, because it's under our control. We have the power. We have the power of our own emotions. We have the power of our own stuff. We need to grasp a hold of it and stop going and making sure that everybody else is
And
okay.
you know what? And the final note I will leave with this, and we can end it right after this. Everybody, stop taking life so seriously.
Exactly.
Laugh, have a good time. Laugh at your own failures. Laugh at your achievements. Laugh at other people. Because guess what?
Laughter is healing.
Laughter is healing. And it is one of those things that if you laugh a couple times a day, guess what? Your energy is going to be up. Your endorphins are going to be up. And you know what? Always remember, and this is my final, this is Jerry Springer. This is my final note. You always matter to somebody. Like Damien said earlier in the chat, I'd rather be somebody's good morning than somebody's goodbye.
Yeah.
So if anybody's out there, I started a men's mental health group that we meet once a week. And you know what? Men's mental health is very important to me because I suffer from depression and everything like that as well.
And I think it's so, like, men, they feel like they can't reach out.
We're
They're not
forgotten.
supposed to talk about their emotion. They're not supposed to talk about. Society tells them you can be tough. You don't feel,
Yep.
and
Yep.
but you do. You're human, and it's so great that you've done that. Like that's something that
But
I'm
it's
just
one of those
amazed by.
things, it's one of those things where, if anybody out there listening, anybody listening to the repeat of this or whatever it may be, just know I may not know you personally. I may know you through Facebook or chats on the podcast, but you matter. You matter to me. And if you ever have a dark moment in your life, I would rather you reach out to me at 3:00 in the morning than get a phone call at 7:00 in the morning that you're gone. So I am saying this to everybody out there. I will spare my sleep. I will spare my time. If you ever have any issues, reach out to me because I've been there. I'm a survivor, and I can say that personally because I've attempted 3 times in my life. And you know what? I'm still here for a reason, and I think this is the reason. So if you ever struggle, reach out. There are people that care. You matter. You are seen. You are heard. You are you. So please never, ever, ever contemplate that. And that's something I'm learning still to this day. But there are people out there that you matter to.
Thank you for that. Like that, it's so important. And you have made a big difference in people's lives, even just tonight. It has been wonderful to have you on.
We'll have to come back and talk for another 2 hours.
I know we're gonna have to stay tuned for part 2. How about that? We're just gonna stay tuned for part 2. I thank you.
Retail horrors is coming up next.
You did that last year, didn't you? Like
I did one last year, but I would love to do it again. Because trust me, I have stories.
Oh, I think we all do. I don't think anybody's in the chat, but we've all had my story about the Reiki. I'm not going to say the word, but you guys know the phallic Reiki. That's a whole other story. But anyway, thank you for being on with us tonight. And anybody, I think Jenny has been leaving lots of links in the chat for you to follow Russ. Please go over and give Compass of Curiosities a like, a follow. You can find him on Facebook. Are you on Instagram or is it just Facebook and YouTube?
I'm on Instagram, YouTube. Our YouTube is linked. I believe if you search Unturned Pages, you'll find both YouTube links for Compass and Unturned Pages are on that. Compass Curiosities on Compass Podcast on Facebook. I am on Instagram, which I very rarely check, unfortunately, but you can find me anywhere. But everybody, please also tune in, like, follow, subscribe to Unturned Pages. That's our show on Sunday nights. So shameless plug
Unturned
there.
Pages Sunday night and Monday night is Compass of Curiosities. Both are great shows. And guys, please turn in.
Yeah, you're about to turn in.
We're done for the night. We already talked about how delirious we were going to be because we were so tired, and now the delirium is setting in. So yes, please tune in. Jenny just put a whole bunch of links in the comments. Follow that. Give them a bunch of likes. Go over there. I think we're trying to get him to 1,000. Please help him out.
Yes.
Let's get him to 1,000, guys. By the end of the week, let's get him to 1,000. He has
Love you
t-shirts
guys.
available too. Thank you all. Remember, fill your cup first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.